Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump can pardon Paul Manafort tomorrow. Tomorrow. He should pardon General Michael Flynn. He should pardon George Papadopoulos or clear their names completely. Carter Page was never indicted, but the United States government should reimburse all of these people. Assange should be pardoned. I've written that in the Daily Caller. President Trump can pardon Manafort tomorrow if he wants to. Now, if the Democrats or if people on the left said, well, oh my God, that would be an abuse of power, that would be an authoritarian endeavor, that would be something that would flaunt the rule of law. No. They flaunted the rule of law because they went back in time, tried to find dirt on. They literally purchased and acquired 2 major documents that were completely false, bogus, fraudulent, to set up and frame all of these people, especially Manafort. Manafort had a secret ledger that was compiled about him from the Ukraine, that one Ukrainian official literally told the FBI not to use. That's according to John Solomon. I do believe that President Trump will pardon Manafort, and especially General Michael Flynn, eventually. But he can do so tomorrow if he chooses, and he would be in the right. And it would be forcing Democrats to go into a media spiral once again. They set up and framed President Trump, General Michael Flynn. With Michael Flynn, he's an honorable man. What they did to him was criminal. They had already tapped his phones. They listened to conversations with Sergei Kislyak. Absolutely nothing was illegal or illicit, or there was no wrongdoing found. They never accused him of a criminal act. His consulting work had nothing to do with the Trump campaign, nor was it illegal in any way. He was only indicted under allegedly lying to Peter Strzok, of all people. The fact that Peter Strzok was the guy who deleted 5 references to gross negligence for when Comey gave his charade theatrical performance regarding exonerating Clinton after she committed crimes. The original speech had references to gross negligence, which ties directly to U.S. Code 793F of the Espionage Act, because she actually transferred top secret and special access program outside the United States government. It doesn't matter whether she intentionally did it or unintentionally did it. Comey added that little wrinkle called intent. But with Manafort, with Flynn, they overtly set him up. And they even told him, don't bring a lawyer. We're just going to meet you. It's impromptu, not a big deal. It's a visit at the White House. No big deal at all. President Trump's going to pardon all of these people. It's just a matter of when. Very likely after he wins the next election. I think that he's going to, almost certainly, he will pardon Michael Flynn. He will pardon Manafort. And hopefully he clears and pardons all of them, including Carter Page. Well, there's nothing really to pardon with Carter Page aside from, reimbursing him. The government's not going to reimburse money, but they should. And they should clear Papadopoulos. These people were set up and framed. But the FBI utilized a ledger. We're finding out from John Solomon that the Steele Dossier and this ledger was utilized to set up and frame Manafort, to get his search warrant, to start proceedings against him for crimes that don't warrant 7+ years or 20+ years, including the New York State indictments against him. He was a sacrificial lamb. The guy's in his mid-70s. He didn't harm national security. He had nothing to do with any alleged break-in into the DNC, which almost certainly never happened. The only reason we know is CrowdStrike. And the only reason we think we know is CrowdStrike. The United States government has never confirmed, never guaranteed, has no warranty or guarantee, has warranty disclaimers stating we do not guarantee any information regarding the ODNI and DHS reports and even the Mueller report. The nothing is guaranteed by there's no certainty regarding any allegations made. That's why the Mueller report claim stated categorically there's no evidence. There's not sufficient evidence. Evidence was not sufficient to charge any Trump associate, anyone, with colluding or trying to interfere in the election in any way. What they did with Manafort, though, was really, first of all, what they got him on, almost certainly they could have gotten Tony Podesta, the campaign chairman's brother, Clinton, the Golden Muumuu's campaign chairman's brother, Madam Cyberhack's campaign chairman, Clinton's campaign chairman's brother. He was actually working alongside Gates and Manafort for the same endeavor, the same consulting, and doing the same things. But he evaded, of course, scrutiny or legal repercussions, of course, because he was a Democrat. It's interesting how Manafort was Mueller was charged with his special counsel was formed to talk about interference in the election, and Democrats interfered more than anyone, using sources outside of the United States government. A ledger that I'm going to get to in a second that was compiled, dirt on Manafort from the Ukraine. And then they're like, well, they went to the FBI. The FBI is always a partisan organization. The notion that from J. Edgar Hoover to Christopher Wray and James Comey and Mueller, the notion these people don't gravitate towards a political side that's advantageous for them, that's ridiculous. Of course they do. That's why Democrats are a sinking ship. And yes, Madam Secretary is running. She has till November of 2019, and even past then if she wanted to, but she'll announce before November. The Golden Muumuu will levitate once again. And there's nothing any liberal can do about it. See, the thing is, the best thing that could ever happen for Trump supporters, President Trump, and honestly, this country, especially my voice, because it would vindicate every single thing I have said about the left, which has already been vindicated, but more so than ever. Anyway, secret ledger in Ukraine lists cash for Donald Trump's campaign chief. All nonsense, all bogus, all fraudulent. The New York Times, August 14, 2016. They utilized the New York Times and every other extension of the Democratic public relations firm associated with the Democratic Party. Kiev, Ukraine, on a leafy side street off Independence Square in Kiev is an office used for years by Donald J. Trump's campaign chairman Paul Manafort when he consulted for Ukraine's ruling political party. His furniture and personal items were still there as recently as May. Handwritten ledgers showed $12.7 million in undisclosed cash payments. Never happened. Designated for Manafort from Mr. Yanukovych's pro-Russian political party. Never happened. John Solomon came out with this report, and even the top anti-corruption official in the Ukraine said, never happened. Never happened. Investigators assert the disbursement were part of an illegal off-the-books system whose recipients also include elected officials. Election officials. Never happened. Handwritten ledgers showed $12.7 million in cash payments designated for Mr. Manafort. Handwritten ledgers? Handwritten ledgers? Handwritten ledgers. Anyone can write a handwritten ledger and put $100 million designated for Madam Cyberhack. You think they would investigate Hillary Clinton, the Golden Muumuu, based on a dossier Trump purchased Do you think they would investigate based on allegations from the Trump version of Alexander Downer? You think they would probe the Democratic Party Clinton campaign based on a Trump strike assessment? I mean, do you think that would happen? We're now finding out that it was complete and utter nonsense. John Solomon, now there is now compelling evidence. The two main documents the FBI used to justify investigating the Trump campaign, the Manafort ledger and the Steele dossier, were suspect and contained inaccurate information, and the FBI was notified, the FBI was warned, the FBI was told. Somebody has to pay the piper in terms of, well, who'd they tell? Comey, Strzok. If Comey says, well, I didn't know, is McCabe going to say, I didn't know? And then Strzok says, I didn't know. But you should also trust them when it comes to... So their defense it contradicts itself. Their narrative is a contradictory narrative. I didn't know that the Ukrainians warned us. I didn't know that the Clinton campaign purchased the dossier. Oh, but we had to really investigate because there was a great amount of suspicion, and we were just so worried about national security, but we didn't know key pieces of information that would be incriminating. While at the same time they have this aura of, oh gosh, if you only knew what we knew. Then when they get caught with their pants down, oh well, we didn't know. Well, which one is it? You're omnipotent. We need you. You're so high and mighty. You're so James Comey and Clapper and Brennan and Strzok and McCabe and all of them are so vital to national security that they have to be listened to all the time, even though there's blatant corruption, rampant, unlawful activity going on. Which one is it? I mean, Trump he literally can, if he wanted to, and he will eventually pardon Manafort. He can use the dossier. He can use the ledger. Now there's a ledger. FBI warned early and often that Manafort ledger might be fake. Used it anyway in search warrant. President Trump. If, let's say, people watch this channel, if anyone at the White House, anyone in the Republican Party, anyone anywhere, that could relay this information. Almost certainly not, but whatever. Pardon Manafort tomorrow. Although the state crimes would be interesting. I don't know if you could pardon for state crimes. But you pardon Manafort. I don't think you can pardon for the state crimes. You pardon Manafort tomorrow. And make the state of New York have to defend the Steele dossier and the ledger. They went after Manafort only, and many of the crimes that the state of New York has tried to go after Manafort on, it's double jeopardy. There are crimes that Manafort's already been sentenced or convicted on regarding the tax evasion and all that. The issue here is that they went after him for crimes committed 10 years prior to the election. Sorry, I don't see this treatment. Well, people say, well, he's a criminal. You're protecting criminals. No. If that's the case, then let's go after people on the Democratic Party side who might have committed crimes, and we can go after them. We can set them up based on a ledger and a dossier that are both fake, that are phony, that are bogus. And if anything, the sentences for these crimes are not, I mean, it's generally not 7.5 years for a mid-70s guy who doesn't have a criminal record. They wanted a sacrificial lamb. They just wanted retribution. They don't care about justice. The same people who knock me, the biggest imbeciles on the planet, on the left, They're like, oh yeah, he still thinks Clinton's going to get indicted. Well, eventually she will. I haven't said imminent in a long time. So when people accuse me of saying imminent, that they're putting words into my mouth and they're just lying. I don't think Clinton's going to get indicted imminently. I think inevitably. Now, with Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, a whole bunch of them, as this investigation ramps up, you could see after the Inspector General report, if there's another section on Andrew McCabe, he could be the one indicted. He will eventually, and McCabe is up the creek without a paddle, because he has Comey who wants him to get indicted, which would be bad for Comey, because then McCabe could spill the beans on Comey. Oh, they'll all spill the beans on the Golden Muumuu. The Golden Muumuu will have a lot of beans being spilled. But give me your thoughts below. Manafort can easily be pardoned. He should be pardoned immediately. And if Trump pardons him, Democrats, what are they going to say? Well, he committed crimes. Okay, how did you know? You set him up illegally. You can't set up and frame people. That's not legal. You can't set up and frame people and then get them for crimes that were committed 10 years prior simply because you want political retribution. That's exactly what took place. You want Manafort to suffer because you can't touch Trump because he didn't do anything wrong. And you wanted Flynn, you wanted Papadopoulos, you wanted Gates, you wanted Carter Page, you wanted them all to suffer. Democrats wanted them all to suffer because, A, they were linked in some manner to collusion, which we found that to be nonsense. There was no evidence. And they lost the election. So Peter Strzok talked about an insurance policy. And the judges in this case against Manafort, one of the judges clearly state the United States government doesn't want Manafort. They want Manafort to flip on Trump. And if you go after Manafort, why aren't you going after Clinton's brother's campaign? I mean, the campaign chairman's brother. He worked with Manafort. You have Democrats who worked with Manafort. Why? How come the state of New York isn't going after them? That's not the rule of law. You don't just pile on one person because there's political utility in it. How is that fair? So Trump pardoning Manafort, and he should pardon Flynn even before Manafort. But Trump pardoning Manafort would be the best thing ever. It would just shove them into a tailspin. Give me your thoughts below. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is in the pinned comment. Thank you so much. And check out my writing in the Federalist that was shared by Rush Limbaugh in the pinned comment. Thank you.